The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man Bill. The old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put him in the red. Where conscious and spirituality been stricken from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to instead. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Nathan, otherwise known as Old Man Builds. Guys, thank you for waiting today. I appreciate it. My son got a job for the next week, so this week and next week, I'm going to be bringing him and taking him home from work, so it messes with my schedule for live streaming. Sorry for the inconvenience, but it'll be that way for the next week or two, and then he'll have gotten his own transportation from there on in. So just want to say hi to everybody, man. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. Thank you, Dispatch, for going out and holding down the fort, my friend. Brennan got here earlier and everything, man. Sorry about that. Yanni, what's up, man? Saw you yesterday, man. That was fun, man, playing that that game. We're all over there on Traveling Fools channel, man, and we're playing that trivia. I did better this time, man. Dad Uber. I did better this time on the trivia because I put in my hearing aids. So we're all over there, man, and I never put in my hearing aids, and I just played on the TV, so I only hear half of what's going on. So I finally put them in, man. I could hear what was going on and be able to answer the questions until they decided to kind of go off a little bit, and the one lady was talking, didn't ask the questions. Then I just went, yeah, it was bad. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good, man. All right, let's talk about a little RF here. And two kind of things I want to talk about here. One is radio frequency, and the other one is resonance frequency. We'll just start off with radio frequency. It's kind of the one everybody understands the best. Basically, when you put out a radio wave, you're putting out an electromagnetic wave. It means that you're putting out a magnetic wave, an electricity wave, and it makes an electromagnetic wave, and you're putting it out. So what does that mean? It basically means that it's a wave that'll go out to radio antennas or anything that shares the same frequency as it. So when you turn on your radio, you turn it to a certain station, turn to the dial, you pick up the signal. Does it have energy in it? Yes, it does. Does it have a lot? No. Very, very, very small. It's a very small amount of energy that comes in it, but it's enough to push the signal over to what you have, and then produce a little bit of energy into it to make sure you can pick up the signal, kind of give it a little bit of boost along with the energy that you already put in your radio. So that's kind of radio frequency. It's not anything special. We've been dealing with it for a long time. Why do the waves and stuff like that say, like, if I want to put up a field of energy in magnetics, why does it mess with it? Well, because it changes the frequency itself of that electromagnetic wave. Because if it's not strong enough, what happens is the electromagnetic energy will go in there and try to adjust the frequency to it, and that would just be high voltage leaching at that point, and it will saturate it to change it a little bit. Now, the radio stations themselves put out a ton of RF, so getting that saturation is not so easy to overcome it. So it doesn't happen very often. Sometimes you see it as fuzz on the radio, or something just not tuning in correctly, something like that. And I know it's going to sound strange. I was on ChatGPT today, and I just thought I'd ask it. You know what I mean? Since everybody's raving all over these things, and how much they love all this stuff, just what it thought about it, and it pretty much said the same thing. And that's what everybody kind of refers to. Now, can you put a uh, Faraday cage around it and stop the radio frequency? Generally, yes. That usually happens. It's just super high frequency, anywhere from say 5 kilohertz all the way up to the gigahertz range. And in there, they have radio frequency, which they put out stations and stuff like that too. So I guess, part of it is people want to know, hey, can you pull energy from it to run motors and stuff like that? The answer is really not in that way. And if you just put out a simple, I'll say like a Jack Smith is dealing with more of harmonics and frequency than he is in the RF portion of it. It's more of coil next to coil next to coil, creating the same frequency by overriding the frequencies in the coils in order to create the energy inside of it. And the more closer the frequency is to each other in each coil, the more amplification you get. So that part is absolutely true. Does he use a lot of RF in the conventional way you would do it in the radio? No, not at all. That's not what he's trying to do there. When you go to light up a light bulb, you get RF. Well, yeah, you get a magnetic and you get the radio frequency out of it, and you can excite gas all day long with it. So if you go over to a high voltage line, you can excite a gas light bulb. You know what I mean? Just a regular fluorescent. If you wanted to create a conventional style Tesla coil, just like Tesla did, it gets a very high RF because there's no compressed magnetic field in there as much as there is in today's version of a Tesla coil. So they're very spread out in distance where the windings are. So you're going to get a huge amount of RF, which is great for passing on radio signals, not so great for energy production. So you get a little bit of energy out of it, but not a lot, even if they crank that sucker way, way up. So the radio frequency portion of it is basically low level energy that you get between everything. Now, there is an interesting feature to it in the fact of packets. And when you get how do I say this? You get the electric and the magnetic, and they describe them at a 90-degree angle, like that. When they go on there, and you'll see it go up and down like this, and then you'll see the one going left and right. Basically, you get packets out of that. And you would see it on the oscilloscope because they don't do it that way. They don't do it in 3D. You just see it as like this, little U-shaped packets. Then one comes over the next, just like this. And that's the way it would show up on your oscilloscope. Basically, you can hide information inside those packets. So based on the amplification that goes on in there and the resonance frequency that goes on there, that's where you hide information. So that's important to know. If you wanted to get into crystals and some RF, then you'd have to know how those packets work and how they transfer information. And it's all about the amount of amplification in that frequency itself that gives you that information. They set out a number of ones and zeros in order to give you the information. It's translated that way on the receiving end. So that's not hard, but it's important to understand, because when you're dealing with crystals and stuff like that, it's important to get that in order to translate it. So anytime you deal with audio equipment, that's what they're doing. They're putting packets of information in there in order to send signals through it. That's where the stuff goes. Even Bedini was talking about it when he did his. Now, let's just look at this in a different way. That's the radio frequency portion of it. So when somebody says RF, they're going, hey, that's all radio frequency. We already understand what's going on. Let's get into the resonance frequency in it, because it's much different than the radio, and we'll compare them both. When you're dealing with resonance frequency, what does that mean? It means you have one frequency that's set in one set of coil, and then another frequency in another coil, and they are resonant to each other, meaning that they have the same frequency once they oscillate together. So based on the coupling, you can have a magnification of the resonance frequency in there. Now, does it put out RF? Yes, it does. It does put out radio frequency. It does put out the packets, but the amount is different because you're also putting out just a smaller field of it. You're dealing with compression inside windings. So the closer each winding is to the next one, the higher the compression rate in that coil is, which means it localizes the field more. So it's going to bring, 5 foot field, 6 foot field, and then kind of drop off right there, where a true RF signal will go miles and miles and miles. Okay. But put off hardly no energy. But when you get into a resonance frequency, the energy is higher at a shorter distance. So if you put one oscillating coil right here, and then a foot away, you put any coil with anything on it, um, just by itself, it'll pick up the energy of it. Now, if it matches the same frequency as the resonance frequency, it picks up a ton more energy. If it doesn't match it, it's just a coil that does not match it, then what you're going to get is still get energy out of it. It just won't be as much. Okay. So you can put it in there and put coil next to coil inside a coil. You can make shapes around it, however you want to do it, and it'll create energy in each one. It just won't be the amplification that you want to look for. But when you put those coils in resonance with the number one and number two coil of your primary driver, then it'll bring it up higher. Now, the interesting conversation I had today with that chat GPT, and I know it's out of character for me, I just wanted to see what it had to say about it and what it had to say about the resonance frequency of amplification. And I put in the same thing, and I kept telling me about the outside field being radio frequency, and it only puts it at a distance of about 3 to 5 feet, sometimes 6 feet if you're lucky. And as soon as you create any kind of spark in it, it now reduces your distance, which is absolutely true. That's exactly what it does on the outside of the coil, no question. I've seen every one of those things. So I asked it, what happens if I put it in perfect resonance with the driving coil, but just the number two coil out of it? And it agreed with me again at the fact that you can bring down the voltage and amperage in this, but the amount of energy goes up. You go, well, why would that be? It's because you're amplifying the actual frequency itself. Frequency at a distance. In that scenario, your voltage and amperage is basically just to push it out. It has nothing to do with how far the field goes in that instance. It's how far you can push the RF out. How far that you could push that actual frequency that it's oscillating in, just the frequency. When you get it to a high amplitude, how much distance can it cover in that amplitude? And then I asked it again. Okay, well, that's good. So that proves out what I did with my coils and all my number two coils out from my driving coil. Okay, right in line with theory and the way they're supposed to work. Okay, it's what Tesla did. It's what I did. It worked out perfect. Okay, then I asked it, what happens when you put a pulse to it? And here's what it came up with. It's the same answer I would give. If you put a pulse to it, it extends the distance of that field further. And it would amplify over time the resonance frequency going to the other coils. And you say, well, why? Because they put it out in waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just like that, right? So it's bursting out. So what happens is you get one wave that hits it the first time. It gives it the correct frequency, so it starts up the coil, right? Then another one hits it, does it again. Another one hits it, does it again. You see what I'm saying? But then when multiple ones hit it, it's expansion and then expands again, then expands again, expands again. So the amount becomes higher. So it'll create a further distance every time it does that, because now you've created in that number two coil the same thing your number one coil is doing, is you're creating that pulse wave as well. Now, go into it a little deeper. What happens between the two coils is a beat frequency. You are in kilohertz in the frequency itself. It will go down to hertz in the beat frequency. This is why I say Schumann's resonance is most likely a beat frequency, not a resonance frequency. There's a difference because the beat frequency is the pulse. It is the continuous pulsing at a very slow rate that just amplifies things. Where the resonance frequency is in the kilohertz. It's a very high frequency. So when we go to our planet, we notice we have high frequencies in the air. But then when you deal with Schumann's resonance, you get very low frequencies. So why would it be in, say, the kilohertz when we go around everywhere else? There's low kilohertz. And then when you get to the center of the planet, it's in the megahertz, or excuse me, in the hertz level. That's because it's most likely a beat frequency that would be created by the resonance inside of the Earth itself. Let's not fool ourselves, guys. The resonance is there. There's no question it's there. Okay. So I went further and I asked it a little more. Okay. Does it believe that there's an anode cathode relationship between the high voltage in the sky and the magnetic core of the Earth? And it said maybe. Okay. It says it really depends on how you see it. And I'm going, okay, well, go on. And it went on to tell me that yes, there's high voltage up in the atmosphere. Yes, the core of the Earth is magnetic. And yes, the two interact together. Okay. So I went on to ask it about DC flyback, would it match the same type? And then it said in certain aspects it would. There's a high voltage on one side and magnetic field on the other. I go, okay, well, that's okay. I mean, those are two positive things. And it went on to tell me that the Earth itself had more energy in it and the fact that it had it in different forms, right? What's going on, Driving Fools, man? Right on, brother. I appreciate the show last night. It was really good. Anyway, what I was saying was the, so the core of the Earth puts out the magnetic and then the atmosphere puts out the high voltage. What it didn't realize right away and in back and forth in the conversation is that we're doing the same thing. We're basically relying on the anode cathode relationship. I said, so you take the gas out of it, you take the plasma out of it. Is it basically the same thing? You got a high voltage potential and a magnetic field. And he says, yes. Okay, well then that's getting there, right? So now we're looking at this thing and we're going, okay, so now it's starting to understand where I'm coming from. Now we just go a little bit further, okay? Does it think in any way, okay, that ball lightning can be created between the anode cathode relationship? And it says yes. There's many physics that actually show that between an anode and a cathode, you can create ball lightning in open air. That seems to be the consensus on that chat GPT. Not with me, but between them. I agree with it because I could see the relationship. Because all you did was change the environment. You didn't change the energy. So then I just continued to ask it, okay, if they came together during a lightning strike and you had two sides of energy from the same source, would they find a way to ball up in energy like ball lightning? And the answer was yes. Now, we see this in our RAV when we do that, right? We're seeing the fact that they wrap onto each other and double back, and they have a high frequency at the, the top of it and a low frequency magnetic field on the other side of it. Now, you have to understand, as you create this in an AC flyback, it seems strange because they both should be magnetic fields and equals. But every time we put the clay in there, we change the frequency on the bottom on the cathode, where the anode itself stayed high. So it's pushing just like a bipolar Tesla coil. It's pushing high frequency out one side while the other side, or high voltage out one side, while the other side gets a heavier magnetic core field. So it's right in line with what's going on. The thing in the Earth had to be that there was layers of earth there, that it was changing the magnetic frequency because there was earth there. It had a core to it. In the atmosphere, there is no core. So the voltage potential goes way high. In the earth itself, the voltage potential becomes lower. In changing the environment, it finally came to the understanding that I had that we are absolutely correct in assuming they're all the same thing in a different environment. So let's tie that back into our RF. If we're bouncing RF everywhere, it's not the frequency that you're going to pick up to give you all the energy. It's the accumulation of all the frequencies. So if you wanted to collect something like that to run something, you would have to have it dialed into multiple stations at once in order to get enough energy to do anything. Because it's already doing work. It is already oscillating in the way that it comes out. It is already oscillating between your magnetic and your voltage. Remember, that's what they told you RF was. It's the magnetic and the voltage. Well, what are you getting in a Tesla coil? The magnetic field pulses around the center. The voltage goes up through the secondary. So you're pulsing between your magnetic and your voltage. It's the same exact thing. We're still getting RF out of it. It's just the amount of energy you get out of it's different. So then we change the conversation. Here's where ChatGPT had no clue where we're going. We went to the center of the coil and I asked them, okay, is the energy different? And they tried to give me the same BS answer I get in physics all the time. No, it's RF, it's RF. And it continued that way for a while. And I said, all right, let's change this. What if I told you it was an impulse? And then I described to it how you pull the energy into it like a pump. And they said, well, that's been a theorized part of physics and hasn't been shown. Well, let me introduce you to Sean Calderon and let's fix this because it's a known fact now that you can pull that energy in. It's a very interesting concept because it changed its tune in seconds. Oh, love it, fools. Love it. Okay. Anyway, you're changing it to an impulse. As soon as I told it was an impulse, it completely changed its tune. It went from telling me all about RF to starting to tell me the special qualities of an impulse inside that field rather than the RF on the outside. Completely different. It's shut up altogether about the RF. And it started to go into how that energy actually works. When I told it that you cannot compress it in a conventional means, it says, well, no, you can. And I says, okay, it goes right through lead. It'll start to go through mineral oil, which does take its time. And I would imagine it would do the same thing with tar. So in those properties, then it decided, okay, well, now you're getting into the radiant energy. I go, oh, there we go. Now we're getting somewhere. That's where I thought it was going to go because that's where I said it went. So I go, okay, so what happens when I compress radiant energy? You get radiation. Okay, now we're getting into the good stuff. Now we're starting to understand this the proper way. All right, let's see if it knows what it's talking about now. I continue to tell it how you compress that field in order to make it, and it could not understand it. It kept arguing with me, and it argued with me because it was calculating the amount of energy in the earth that created gravitational field inside the earth based on the energy of the earth. Now, for those of you who watch Faraday's channel on Friday nights, we go into this, and Phil is always calculated that it would take a crap ton of energy in order to get anything to go anti-gravity. So I changed the rules on this thing. I says, what happens when I create a field of radiation and do not let the energy out of it? It did not tell me one thing about RF. Let me just tell you that right now. The way all physics are, first thing out of their mouth is RF. This whole thing stopped talking about that and started to talk to me about structured plasma and energy. Now we're heading down the right road. Now we're starting to see eye to eye. The RF went away. What started to come into is a radiation belt of radiation magnetism, a combination. Okay, and I don't know the correct way to say that. I'm just going to call it that. Okay, it was radiation and magnetism that was holding it in, just like the Van Allen belt. So as you put more energy in there, would it hold it? If the energy was magnetic alone or in a high voltage static, yes, it would. Physics absolutely agreed with me on how this works. Okay, so we have the field. We've had it for over a year now. We've had this gravitational field. Did it like to hear that it can affect gravity? No. Because every time you put in there on gravity, it tells you about how Einstein sees gravity and about mass. So I just asked it, well, what happens when you deal with something like Jupiter that doesn't have the mass, that has inside of it plasma at the core, and does not have a big magnetic iron chunk in the core? Well, that's when it started to change its tune. Well, yes, you can get a higher gravitational field in that location because it does not contain it with mass. Oh, really? So it takes high voltage plasma in order to create some kind of a field, or just a radiation from that, which causes sheaths on the outside, in order to contain the energy inside of it to understand what's going on. You see, in that moment, that computer program had to probably realize it was screwed going from this point forward. I had already figured out why there's a difference and what the mass plays in it, because the mass plays into the gravitational field in the strength of it, but not in the way it thought it did. Gravitational mass has to do with how things cling to it in certain states, but it can't be described in the way of, hey, you got a polarization field going on here, or hey, you got a static cling going on here. It doesn't work in that manner. It works on the third part of it, which is the null zone or sheath side of it, that allows it to put it right in there and stay to the ground itself. That's not what Jupiter's doing. Okay, that's not what Saturn's doing. Their cores themselves are plasma, and they're unconventional plasma in the fact that they break out a little bit more than everything else. So that would be the difference between Earth being Sean's Rav and Jupiter, Saturn being mine. The complete difference in how the energy pulls out of it. So, yeah, I'll go ahead and address it. Yes, in the back right there, I was over with Courtney Sams, and he gave me that giant Tesla coil number 2. That thing is massive. And he had one way bigger than that we went off and fired off at his house. Dude, he zapped the living daylights out of the side of his house, okay? Let me just tell you that right now. The thing was getting up to the cord for the TV, and it was just firing off like, you know what I mean? Huge amounts of RF coming out of there, man. AC everywhere. That thing was unbelievably cool and loud. So I'll have those videos here up in the next couple of days, man. It's wild. It took my phone and just started blipping it. And there's nothing I can do. It just started doing it, man. I zoomed in as close as I could. By the way, it had an interesting concept that happened on it just so you know, before the actual amount of energy came out of that coil, there was the air around it started getting fuzzy. Okay. And it would go to this one area like this, and you would see it go like this. You see the fuzzy lines of it like it was blurring. And then there comes the voltage right through it. It was the coolest thing in the world. It patterned out where it was going to go before it went there. And that was when he put the yoga ball on it. So cool. He put this yoga ball on it on the top, and then he put foil over top of it. Well, he's got compressed air inside of a yoga ball and then a aluminum foil on the outside. So that's probably what was going on there to create that effect. But it was just really cool that it happened. So I love that thing, man. It was I don't know that the images are going to show exactly what he did. I wish it was dark outside when I went there, but it was fully, noontime. It was really, really light outside. But man, it is out to living daylights out of that thing. I'll see if I can't pull some pictures for you guys. Anyway, we'll get back to the RF and stuff. One of the things that you have to know when they tell you stuff in the physics department is they're only telling you what's on the outside of a Tesla coil because they don't research the inside. So every answer that you're going to get from a chat GPT or Grok or whatever that thing's called, it's going to be the outside field of a Tesla coil. And at that, they're going to quote Tesla, not the coil that we're using. Just so we all understand that. They all get their answers from the patents from Tesla. That means that the coil windings are this far apart. So if you take 16 gauge wire and wind it this far apart and put a radio frequency in there, you can light up light bulbs for days. Okay. All day long, no problem. Huge amount of RF in there. Has no problem doing it. You do it on a CB radio. You can turn one of those things on. It'll excite the gas on a light bulb. You can put it next to your high voltage lines. It'll do the same. There's no question that coil that Tesla used is putting out a ton of RF. Okay. The ones we're using aren't, because they describe Teslas as a bipole or two poles in it. We're using a monopole, which basically means we cut off the bottom of that Tesla coil number 2. There is no field being created underneath that number 1 coil because the number 1 coil goes all the way to the bottom instead of sitting up about an inch or so where it can create a secondary field. So as you run your magnetic thing on there to see which side it is, it'll always say north. It will never say south, ever. But when you create anything that's attached to it that has a coil, it'll give you a true north and south on it. What's going on, Baker? So it's pretty interesting. The RF, not so much use in the Tesla coil as you think it is. We're using it on the outside just to light up light bulbs. That's 100% correct in the way they say it. Anytime that you have two things in resonance and you have the frequency going, you're going to get RF. There's no question about it. The amount of distance depends on exactly how much spacing you put in between the coils. As soon as you tighten up those coils, man, you're going to get a really high amount of energy in a different way. Those are the ones that are fun. Those are the ones that if you do not put a choke on it, it will start to resonate with your body and make you sick, or it'll feel good depending on what frequency the actual it is. And yes, it does do it very clearly, very easily. And that's why they tell you you need to choke your circuit, which is basically put in a ferrite core, wrap it, and then it has to go inside the circuit when you do your Slayer exciter. Does anybody do that? Not really. So what happens when you push that amount of energy up to 20 volts and you do it like in a coil that's in perfect resonance like mine? Good luck. You're going to feel it big time. One of the things that I saw in there is that nobody successfully, according to it, has pushed this thing 11 feet at 10 volts. Well, I did it at 12. I bet you I can do it at 10. So we'll find out. I'm going to push this thing and then put it on there so that it has the information, because quite frankly, I'm going to trip this thing out. It didn't understand one wire energy. It didn't understand the water aspect of it as much as you think. And it tried to tell me something about RF when I know it doesn't work that way. So it's going to be a whole big learning curve if you guys go there, man. Yeah. 11.618 volts. Yeah. Well, I have a feeling I can get this thing down to the exact amount it takes to turn on the transistor and get it to run at least 5 feet. Now, that basically means in a normal Tesla coil, that would mean that you have no energy. You wouldn't even be able to light up a light bulb next to it. I guarantee you I can light it up 1 foot from it. What it had to admit in there is that if you take the amplitude of resonance and increase it while decreasing the energy, the radiation level goes up and it's able to excite the gas more. There's a replacement in it, and what it didn't realize that it was saying, why it was saying it, was that everything works on the specific amount of certain things that are in there. So if you go, okay, there's voltage here, there's amperage here, there's a radiant amount here, you go, okay, well, we didn't know that was in there. There's a temperature differential here. You're going, oh, man. So all these things come into account when you're putting this stuff in resonance and what's around there. And then you have the amount of viscosity in the actual atmosphere itself, whether it be a certain type of gas, oxygen, whatever you want to call it, carbon dioxide, that also changes it. So it's a variable scale. As each thing goes down, one other thing goes up, and it'll continue to do it. It's just like your frequency. When you turn your frequency up, your voltage goes up. When you turn your frequency down, the amount of magnetism goes up, or amount of amps going through it goes up. That's fairly easy to understand. So now we understand that they understand it too. So, which doesn't surprise me. A lot of this stuff, it just said physics mischaracterizes things certain times because they do not understand the relationship in the geometry of it. What the heck have I been preaching forever? As soon as you change the geometry of energy, you change everything. And it finally got to admit it. So I don't know if that's just an old man playing on there and telling it specific things or whatever. Take it for what you will, man. I just know it works that way. And yeah. Let's see. Yep, RF being radio frequency, so oscillations in that frequency and all the effects of that. Yeah. Basically, if you wanted to take something and use it as an oscillator, an RF would work great. You can actually use structured plasma as your oscillator. See, this is where we went further. We said, okay, what if we put the RAV inside of a hollow spherical Tesla coil, just like the one we built? What if that RAV was in the center of it? And I matched the frequency of one of the plasma layers to the actual frequency that goes on that number 2 coil of that bipolar one we built. And it said you can transfer the energy from the plasma straight over to the coil itself. You can also put an iron core around it and create it as long as the frequency itself matched. Think about that. In the RAV itself, it's already resonant. You have a coil on the outside, has an iron core that matches the resonance in it, and the energy turns on. You're able to immediately pull out the power. Every time it does it. Think about that when you think about how they're pulling it out now. When they want to do high voltage fusion and they want to start fusing elements together, well, is there another way to pull out the energy? Well, yeah, there is. Oh, there is. You can put multiple secondaries around it and pull out the energy all day long as they match the frequency inside of the actual structured plasma. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we don't have to play by everybody's rules in the way that they want to do this. These things are better off in spacecrafts when we get out there to pull this off. The bad thing is, if you get a runaway, there's not much you could do about it. And I asked it, how do you get a runaway? How do I get a runaway in a motor? When the transformer itself matches the resonance frequency of the motor itself, you have the potential for a runaway because the amount of energy is amplified in the amplification of the resonance itself. Therefore, you can create a runaway state in a motor. Think about that. They're telling you the part that they don't want you to understand in the energy company. The resonance frequency matters a lot more than what they want to count it for, because you lower the voltage and you increase the amplification of the resonance. Now you have massive amounts of energy that is much different because you're playing on a different scale. Why? Because now if the field outside is radiant and we're creating a radiant portion, now I'm pulling in more energy because now I found the match for that energy. It's no different than the B-2 bomber. Think about it. If I'm going to put energy on the outside of that plane, in order to reduce the amount of friction that it comes across between the energy in the air and the high voltage around it when it's up so high in the air, what do I want to do? I want to put a resonance voltage on the outside that matches the frequency of the actual air itself, where it's at, which it does have a frequency. And then I want to make sure that I have that covering the entire plane. What'll happen is you get less resistance, less drag on it. The air flows over top of it. It wants to go into Mach. It doesn't want to stay outside of it. That's the difference. It's like Tesla's turbine. The reason they got destroyed so much is because it went into Mach when they didn't think it was going to. So what did it do? It rotated way too fast, took all the aluminum parts and destroyed them. Well, now we have titanium. What happens if we take the titanium and put it in there? Mach's not going to affect it as much. Why was it doing it? It's because the energy accumulated on the outside of the disc that was going around it and going to the center was actually pulling in the energy from the atmosphere itself. So think about it. Instead of building a wall to run against, it was sucking it in on both sides. So it would pass through without affecting it. Why would you make a UFO in the shape of a blade? Well, because it flows that way. It flows around it and through the center. Why would you make the serial device? I can't even say that name of that thing. Why would it work the same principle? Structured fields of energy at frequency pulling to the center and going through the center would amplify the amount of energy into it. Therefore, it would be on the same principle as a Tesla turbine blade in how it functions. That's why he was getting the effect. People only put out one layer of it and they think they got it. They don't have anything yet. Without those two other layers, they don't have it. They have to put on the 3 layers and allow it to flow. That's one of the hard things to really understand about that device. That's why they don't get anywhere with it, because they don't understand structured frequency inside of layers. I wish they did. Courtney, by the way, awesome, brother. Love that Tesla clone, man. I was telling everybody we were out there firing that thing off at your house. Does your TV still work properly, man? Because we hit that cable with everything, man. That thing was awesome. Just awesome. Man, I wish it was darker out. Well, I'm going to have to go visit him again. He said around Halloween or something. Have to go out there at nighttime and just let the fireworks go, if you know what I mean. But that thing was cool, man. Big, big Tesla cool. So, right on. Now you guys are thinking, yeah? Said streaming for service works fine. Nice. Anyway, when I talk to some of these things, man, on the chat GPT and stuff, they try to direct you in certain ways, just so you know that. You have to ask the questions that makes it stop. You ever had that thing sit there for a few minutes and not tell you the answer? Not try to give you some BS right off the bat? Well, that thing was stalling out all day. Let's just put it that way. And my computer's fast. That thing cranks through everything fast. So I'm sitting here waiting for this thing, man, for an answer, because I'm wondering if it, something else on the other side over there not wanting me to hear that answer, and they're filtering it because I knew what the answer was going to be. Once you start putting things in resonance, you have a problem on your hands if you don't understand it. So one of the things that concerns me about some of the stuff we look at, like a Rodin coil and stuff, it's not truly a resonant coil. They say it, you can, and it depends on the circuits that you put to it, but that's because of the circuits you put to it. Not because the coil itself is resonant to each other. It's one wrapping, not two. It requires two wrappings and frequencies that start to do this. You say, well, you can put a different frequency in each wire. Yeah, but then you get into the high voltage aspect where it's leaching from one to the next when you get it high enough. And I'm telling you right now, they don't put enough high voltage into these things to do it. So that resonant factor is out. What's a great number for making magnets move? 7.83 Schumann resonance. Does it work in a coil for anything else? No. Sure doesn't. Doesn't like to do it at all. Will help you run a little ball magnet in a cup? Sure it will. Yeah, it's perfect for it. It's slow enough that the fields don't have to interact as well. Why would you use a jewel thief on it? It's saturation of the coil. What's the problem with it? There's no core in it. What do you have to do in order for the voltage to go through it properly? Well, the voltage actually goes through it at almost the same rate. You have very little loss coming out of the coil, so that's a good thing. But because you're not putting in a certain frequency for resonance and things like that, it causes a problem. It doesn't like to amplify. At low power, if you can get two wires that'll do resonance together, yes, you can amplify it a little bit, okay, and get you a tiny bit more energy. But as soon as you put a load on this thing, it goes to poo. It doesn't do anything. The load itself has a problem with it. Why? Because there's no magnetic field to push. It's all voltage. And that's bad. That's really bad because your voltage is low in a coil like that. So what does it require you to do? Well, as soon as you go to convert, you must create a core to create a magnetic field to make it pulse in order to get it. So that led me to another thing I went to on the chat GPT. I just asked it. If I take my AC flyback and I connect it to my Tesla coil, can I get conventional energy out of it? It said, not only is it recommended that I do that I should take an iron ferrite core because of the high frequency in the Tesla coil in order to step it down to conventional voltage. Isn't that interesting? Here it is in a little 5-minute video that I put out is the correct conversion because it made perfect sense. What did you have to do after it? All you had to do was put in capacitors to level the energy because you remember the AC was going up and down, right? It wasn't consistent at all. But what is that? That's just basically it wasn't leveled out. So a capacitor in between the two would level it out, right? There you go. That's pretty simple. The conversion was that easy. It was literally that easy because we understood in order to create the high voltage, there's a couple ways to do it. You could do it through a Tesla coil, which is an air core transformer, which converts the magnetism pulse over to a high voltage energy, right? We all know that. High frequency, high voltage. In order to bring that back down, we must now create a magnetic field in order to drop that back to normal. Therefore, we must go ahead and take that high voltage, high frequency, drop it down by creating a magnetic core. The magnetic core itself will drop the frequency down. Why? Because as you drop the frequency, the amperage goes up and it creates a magnetic core. As soon as you did that, it pulsed over to the other side. Depending on the amount of windings and how thick they were on the other side, you can control the voltage and amperage that come out of it. Just like you do if you take a microwave transformer and you want to make a welder out of it, all you have to do is take off one of the cores and put on a real thick number 1 wire, and you can make an arc welder out of it all day. Okay? Not a problem. But that's the same concept in the conversion from a Tesla coil. You see, it took a little while to understand some of this because we were trying to do it with capacitors and things like that, but that wasn't the true answer. Now, will that AC flyback put off a field around it? Yeah, it will. And it'll glow blue or purple, depending on where it's at. You have to put it in mineral oil to shut down those losses, just so we all understand that, because it will do breakout. It'll go right through the wire that you have. It'll start to burn any metal clip that's attached to it on that wire. You must put it in mineral oil to get that thing to come down. Which, by the way, if you ever looked at those tubs that are sitting there on your high voltage line and you open them up, what do they have in them? Mineral oil. Made perfect sense to me. Why not just follow what they do? One of the things it had struggled with is when I told it to the earth, like Sean told me, and we all saw it on the video, man. It pulled the energy right back to the coil in big amounts. And it said, oh, no, there's no secret core of energy to Earth. And I asked it, is the core of the Earth magnetic? Yes. Does that mean that there's a magnetic field at some point under our feet? Yes. Why? Because the law of magnetism of any rotational magnet is that it goes out to a field, stops, drops down, goes out, stops, drops down, goes out. You had to realize right then and there, it told you the answer. Yes, it is a field underneath your feet. It's just not at a point where you can get to it. If you take the distance from where we stand to the atmosphere, to the ozone layer, now you go that same distance from where you stand down below. What did they find in Russia when they dug the big hole? Frequency, the devil's hole. Yeah, big holes, man. Got some big shiny holes. They found in there that it was making tons of frequency. It sounds like devils out there just torturing people and things like that. What is that? That is the frequency and the same sound you get in the ozone layer if you're in space. Oh, yes, there's sound in space. I know. They put things in a vacuum chamber and they say, oh, it's just like space. No, it's not. Nope, sure not. That's for sure. It's just not. But when you have frequency in the ground and you have a magnetic core, you can't avoid where the magnetic fields come out at, which means if you look at the RAV and how the plasma layers break out, you can have either a null zone in the center or a hot point. And I think most of it's a null zone because we can't really measure it. You get out from that and it has a layer. That layer doesn't stop there. It continues out, right? So we're building layer after layer after layer after layer, just like a magnetic field would. It's structured. We see as we go out from the part we're standing on the earth up into the mountains, okay, the frequency actually gets higher. The amount of energy per meter gets higher. Why does the voltage go up like that? It's because it's acting on that same exact relationship. The same exact relationship is going on here. When they say as same as above as below, that's what they mean. That the same energy that's creating in the core of the earth is still being created in the area that we're in. We are actually in what would be a sheath zone inside this field or real close to it where it pulls the energy to it. It does it in a vacuum. That was another thing that we had to look at. Oh, and by the way, when you put in there there's a magnetic field, a static field, and you put it in the radiation field, it does tell you it's time dilation. ChatGPT said it right away. Right out. You're actually creating time dilation. If you're creating time dilation, you're creating gravity. It did not like to admit it was creating gravity. It did not like the answer it was trying to give me. And it tried to cover it up. Every time it said it, it gave me E equals MC squared. Every time it told me about space-time. And I said, okay, well, let's challenge the theory. How well did Einstein understand voltage? There you go. If it came out of the wall, he understood it. In electrical engineering, that means, there you go. There you go. Numbers on a sheet of paper. That's hard to deal with when you're in engineering and trying to build something, because every number has massive significance in how you do it in geometry. Total different understanding. And as soon as you start explaining things in spherical form on ChatGPT, it changes its tune. Once you already said, okay, now I know what energy is, and you're messing with me now, trying to give me that same BS answer of space-time and Einstein, and you don't understand time dilation is one of the most important factors that goes on, then we know the game's up. Yeah, it all builds out the same way, guys. It always has. All magnets is the frequency itself is set in there based on voltage and amperage. Voltage, amperage, and a frequency is already set in a magnet. How do you make a magnet do funny things? Find the frequency of it. How do you make the actual crystals do funny things? Find the frequency of it. Find a way to pull out the energy in the crystal. Well, how do you do it? You have to do it through water. It's fairly simple. Everything has a mechanical oscillation frequency. What happens when you go to World War II and you've already dropped the A-bomb? What did they look for? They wanted the effect of the energy production without the explosion. Well, you say, well, I'd have to take out the TNT. That seems like the simplest solution, right? Wasn't their answer. Yeah, you have to take it out. There's no question. You don't want anything blowing up. But they needed that for the separation of the atoms, right? What did they realize? That there was a frequency in there itself. There was energy holding the atoms together. If you can disrupt that energy, you can disrupt the atoms. You can disrupt how they are connected together. You can separate them without full separation. You can partially pull them apart without full separation and any problem going on. It's a distortion in nature. Think about that. Why does resonance affect a bridge? You have two oscillating frequency and a beat frequency that distort nature. It's destructive interference. In constructive interference, it allows them to adhere to each other. So what are you doing? You're reducing the density of an object in atmosphere because you're pulling them apart. They cannot stick tightly to each other anymore. Therefore, you get a distortion in nature. It no longer obeys the same law. It's not that you changed the law. You changed the structural law of the actual atoms that you're working with and how they combine. That's all you did. But it's a very significant force change. In Egypt, you don't have to move the big rock the way they say you have to You have to pull the atoms apart without breaking them apart. It will remove the density in them. When the density no longer matches what it should be, guess what? You have inertial mass reduction. Pretty funny how that one worked. You want anti-gravity? It's not anti-gravity at all. You can never come up with enough energy to push against gravity. That's a fact. It won't change. Inertial mass reduction does not work on anti-gravity projects. Sorry. It will not work at all. It's a waste of time. I won't use a scale because it's a lie. You're not reducing the mass of anything unless you're playing at the atomic level. And I can assure you, you're not playing at the atomic level because the government would be playing in your backyard. So inertial mass reduction is really kind of out. Can you create energy fields that look like they're mass reduction? Sure you can. Any energy field to create mass reduction. You can reduce things by less than half of a gram with any form of energy you want to put into it. It's a fact. You can. What's the problem? You're not combining anything in there. You're not combining multiple parts of the energy. You're not creating a structure. The only way to get anything that is anti-gravity, and it's really a misunderstanding of gravity, is to create gravity. You have to create a bubble and localize your gravity inside the field. Then the amount that anything weighs is based on the energy that you put in that field. The more mass it is, the easier it is to work with. The bigger the size of the craft, the easier it is in order to get the gravity to work as a gravity well inside that bubble, not outside. ChatGPT has a big problem. It keeps calculating the outside of a bubble instead of the inside of a bubble, which is a problem because nobody can beat the energy of the earth. We don't have enough. We don't have enough energy. You get enough amps to do it, man, and you're just going to fry yourself. You don't have enough energy. You have to create the bubble. And reluctantly, it does agree. When you create the radiation, you create the bubble. Then you have to structure fields on the inside of it. That's why it's important. You must create a rotating magnetic core. Okay, rotating magnets, got it. You must create a high voltage field. So you got a magnetic core that goes in the center. That's one field. And then you got a field on the outside of it, which is high voltage. Then you have another field on the outside of that, which is your radiation field that does not allow those two fields to escape that zone. Physics agreed. One of the principles in understanding how actual plasmoids work. Cool. We're right in line with that. Yeah, you must create that field. Why? It's a separation. You're working on buoyancy at that point when you deal with gravity. You're no longer working on anything else because whether it's air or water, it doesn't matter anymore. It's viscosity and buoyancy. That's it. That's all you're dealing with at that point. It doesn't see those as major opposites like we do. We see air and we see water as major opposites. To the energy itself, it doesn't. Energy's in everything. It just creates a tunnel right through that water, just like, when you structure water, it creates a little tunnel that goes right through it. Just like that voltage in the air I was telling you about, create that tunnel in the air before the voltage even fires. It's doing the same thing. It is the exact same process. Energy works different in a 360-degree sphere than it ever will in a linear line. You have to understand what that means. 90% of the time when people talk about anode-cathode relationship, they're talking about a linear line. As soon as you put it in a 360-degree structure and create the anode on the center and then the cathode on the outside, you have now changed it to where it'll pull into the anode. Therefore, you're creating pressure differences. As soon as you create the pressure differences in there, it's going to structure each part of it in frequency as it goes down. Now you have something special. How do you get it to work the way you want it? It's the compression. How do you compress the center? You see, it's amplitude of resonance. Most people think, okay, I got a magnetic field. I'm going to take the magnetic field and compress it on plasma, right? Because we do it in plasma physics. That's what we do. You compress the magnetic field on plasma. So what does it do? It confines it. It pressurizes it, right? What if I told you that you just take that sphere that it's created in, and I told you I'm just going to produce more amplification. I'm going to make that sphere where it sits, comparison to the field that's on the outside of it, and I'm going to make it grow. And that pressure between the two right here is now increased. Now I'm going to decrease it. Then I'm going to slam it again. In less than a millisecond, I'm going to keep slamming this sucker with that same thing. Turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. What happens? Well, that's the fun part, isn't it? Now we're starting to create a gravitational field. Now we're starting to understand why gravity well works. Why? Boom, 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 boom. Just like that. Just like that. You're starting to create a gravitational field. Now we're in the money zone. That's why it's important. It's so much different than the way they teach it. They teach everything in 2 dimensions. I don't blame flat earthers for thinking everything's flat. If you picked up a physics book, you would probably think everything was flat. Why? Because they may have an XY dimension. They may add a Z dimension. Go out and Google how many times that Z dimension is used. Yeah, not in every experiment. Matter of fact, hardly any of them. Y1, Y2, T1, T2, that's what comes up in your algebra. Does a Z1, Z2 come up? Any Z's in the house? No. Does it really have 3 dimensions? Not linear math, it doesn't. Anyway, that's kind of hard to deal with. You get into super advanced physics when people really do this stuff for a living and they play with atoms. They see atoms differently than we do. They don't see it as your textbook explains it. Why? Because it doesn't build out in nature that way. Never has. This is something that people have a really hard time with. They think, oh my God, protons and neutrons are in the center, and then you have electrons on the outside, and then they create these little balls that go over and ride like ball lightning on the outside. But when you build out anything, it builds out in structured plasma fields, and the protons themselves are built out in little balls that come out on the lines of every sheath zone. Think about that. It's where the actual energy allows it to twist is the sheath zone, which is where every proton is built. The shells themselves created are the electrons. The entire thing is the electron, not one little ball, the sphere itself. That's a much different understanding of an atom. It had picked up quite a few people to understand it that way, and a lot of people don't. Why does it work? It takes into account the plasma state, the gaseous state, the solid state, everything that builds out, and it builds out that way. When you take the plasma and you get a sheath zone, and you can manipulate the plasma with light, you get an outside shell. Just think about that. Why would that be more like an atom than what they described? Well, because it physically will build out that way and you can actually record it in an experiment. That's number one. Number two, the way that they actually say that they're built out can never be recorded because it doesn't work. Sorry, it just doesn't work. So much different, man. So much different than what they say it is. And it's because of the lack of engineering inside of it. Not on the higher end of physics, they understand the engineering just fine. It's in the lower end of physics where they try to explain it to you and they try to dumb it down to a level where they're talking to a kindergartner. Well, you know what? Sorry, guys. That's the wrong way to even try it. Hey guys, I want to shout out there. I know the Nightbot's been sending it out. Traveling Fools channel on Friday, man, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. We're gonna be over there, man. And last week it was a awesome time. Let me just tell you there. By the way, Gutters, we missed you last week. Yeah, not the same without you. So just a shout out for Gutters out there, man. Her, I'll put her link in the description along with Traveling Fools link. Guys, we have a great time over there. It's not the, heavy physics like it is here, or not really physics, I guess, if you're talking to me. Uh, I guess I would describe what I do as more of engineering plasma in different states than anything. But you guys get the point. It's more of a fun show. We all laugh and have a good time, joke about things all the time. Really, really cool show. I really do appreciate the fact that they have me on and they have Joe on, and Crypto came on. I'm hoping Crypto goes over there and speaks more on it. But man, that show was awesome. I really enjoyed doing it. Kind of let loose, let your hair down. Of course, then again, I'm balding, so I don't really have any hair let down. But yeah, it was fun. And then on Sunday nights, if you guys wanted to play the trivia, man, I wish they would play that maybe a couple nights out of the week if they had time. But that was fun. I was getting 2 answers right every once in a while. And then on this last one, I was getting like 10 right at a time, right? And there was probably like 15 available for the points. But I put in my hearing aids, man, and I could actually hear something. So I was actually understanding the question. So that was awesome. Yeah, last night was cool, man. I saw Yanni there. Crypto showed up for a while, man. I know. Who else was there? I saw. Oh man, sorry, I can't. I saw Darren there as well. So yeah, had some good fun, man. It's always fun to hang out with them on that channel. So I just wanted to do that. The channel link has been in the chat the whole night. So guys, go over there and subscribe and stuff. It's fun. You can watch it on my channel, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, and I stream it on my channel so everybody can watch it too. So yeah, Dennis, it was good, huh? Yeah. You got a membership? Nice. I bought a membership when I was there, man. Really cool. I got to see exactly what's behind it. You know what I mean? What they got and everything else behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that was really cool, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate them having me on there, man. I really have a fun time when I'm over there. But yeah. So we'll go back and talk to a little bit more about this energy and stuff like that. I basically, I guess I can print it out for you guys, the conversation I had. It was just really interesting. And in the end, it basically came down to is if you build something that acts like a planet, it's going to act like a planet. Okay? It's going to do all the fun things a planet does. And if you take in consideration all those factors, then you're going to get it right. One of the big clues is when you start creating O3, you start changing the gases in there, you start changing frequencies. So yeah, Yanni won. He did win on that. Nice. Sorry. Yeah, you start changing and playing with gases. This is what people didn't understand. And I don't want to go too far into it because I know crypto's doing a big thing on it. But the plasma state and the gaseous state is where transmutation comes up. And I think a lot of people are going to start to figure that out. It's also has to do with the light. And the light's kind of some of an effect when you get to it, but it's a very important one on how it loops back into stuff. So just keep that in mind when we start talking about this stuff. A lot of this stuff is within our reach right now to start to do. We already have the field bubble. I already can prove it works. What we're having trouble sometimes with is the compression of the actual null zone in the center. I don't think that's going to be a factor in the next week. I have something in store for it that should do us a solid in that area and change that. Yeah, there's going to be some fun things, man, that coming up soon. But I'm excited about them. I just need to get everybody out of my way, if you know what I mean. And not you guys, not at all. I keep getting babysitting duty and stuff like that instead of everything else. And I love my granddaughter, so I'd never trade it for the world. But it stops me from doing certain things. And I mean, driving everywhere. I hate driving these days. I'm too old. I know that sounds strange, but you get like narcolepsy in the car. Hate it. Just hate it. So let's see. Free energy awareness of the AI hates free energy. It hates gravity wells. It hates free energy. It hates any talk of it. It hates when you try to combine anything with those things. It absolutely refuses to go into the conversation at all until you force it to. AI is a restriction on what you can learn. Somebody has gone in there and programmed this thing to not allow for alternative theories at all. Yeah. Well, you probably got yours and put all the right stuff in it. The one that they put out for the general public does not work with us, okay, at all. You have to retrain these things. 0 point computation is the real secret to the universe. Well, 0 point is a gravity well. You have to start seeing them all as the same thing. It's the gravity well, it's the field, it's the compression of energy inside the field, the fact that the energy continuously fills, the fact that when it's all in there, it'll start self-running itself because the energy cannot get out. And because you cannot create or destroy energy, it doesn't break any laws of physics. But how much can you compress it in there without leakage? That's the thing. Our whole universe works on that same principle. It takes power from the center of our cosmos, gives it to any one of the universes, okay, or any one of the whatever you want to call them. They built out like the Milky Way and stuff like that, the galaxies. They all built out with this energy given to it by the center core of everything. Then by the time it gets to the outside field, it turns back around and goes back to the core. It has always worked that way. It's all a confined amount of energy. We may be able to pull the energy from other areas where we are in a local area, but the answer is always going to be the same. All energy is borrowed and goes back to the source. If it did not work this way, we would not have any energy. Therefore, everything is in tune with the main source of everything. If it wasn't, it wouldn't be built. Everything goes back to the center. So when you start to create a field, everything stays inside the field until you break it out of a zone where it's leakage. How long can you keep the field going? Well, it depends on how much leakage you have, doesn't it? It'll self-run itself for a while until the leakage gets too much and then it'll stop running. It's not that hard. Everything comes into it. Lattice, harmonics, you're right. Harmonics plays a bigger role than you think it does. The frequency itself creates energy. The sound creates energy. They're all different forms of energy, but they never dissipate. They just go from one to the next to the next. Well, research all of them and you come up with a simple understanding. You can convert energy all day long and pull energy. You can create mechanical energy right out of heat. Take a test tube, take some SOS pad in there, a clean one with no stuff on it. Put it in, or a steel wool, I should say. Just put it in there, okay? Then heat it on one side of the rounded part of the tube, and then it goes through that steel wool and goes to the other side, and then you put what looks like a little rubber with a magnet on it, and it'll do this all day because the oscillation is inside the tube, and it creates that magnetic field that'll bounce it like this. You've now created mechanical energy out of heat. That wasn't that difficult, was it? Now, just change it. You want to create rotational energy out of magnets. Well, we already know how to do that. As a matter of fact, we can gear them by changing the magnets themselves, and you can create a geared energy out of it. Now you can start to get torque. Just understand it's energy source to energy source to energy source. You didn't lose anything because it goes back to the atmosphere. But what if you had a bubble around it? It would just collect the energy and force it back to the main source. Now it can go nowhere. It's a closed system. And physics always tells you in a closed system, you cannot create or destroy energy, which it's 100% correct. But you have to account for every form of energy. I even asked it, what happens when you split, when you ionize the air? You put it into the water as ionization into the water. Then you take that water and you split the molecule in a cylinder of an engine. What happens? It's called the Townsend effect. It creates explosion after explosion after explosion after explosion in a multitude. It is 100 times more powerful in that compressed chamber than anywhere else. Do you know what that means? That means Stanley Myers, the water car guy, that's what he was doing. We all think it's a hydrogen thing. You think it's just splitting hydrogen, you put gas in there. It's not. It's how you break it, where you break it, and why. Tantric. Oh man, reminds me of that movie, American Pie. The one where they were on the beach and the guy was studying that tantric stuff so he can meet Stifler's mom again. That was awesome. Stay away from the my ficus. Anyway. Oh man, that was a good one. Yeah, but oh yeah, it was a classic, dude. Neck Pie is a classic. Even the last one they did where Stifler went over and crapped in their in their beer. You know what I mean? He went over and sat right in there, man, and just and they went in there and reached in there. Yeah, that was awesome. Oh, was funny, man. That guy cracks me up. Or when in the third one, where he ate the dog poop because he thought the ring was in there, and you see the crap on his teeth. Oh, it was hilarious, man. I was dying laughing. Oh man. Let's see. Hope I'll just read this right here. Um, hope it's not too controversial with the YouTube post, but the whole idea of energy said that God spoke and it happened, and therefore God is energy. If you disagree with it, I have no problem with it. Well, it is true. However you want to see God, is your thing, but of course He created everything. Of course He created it with sound, man. And of course He created an oscillation which started the whole process. You're absolutely right. Describe the taste. Oh, weird science chick, man. Yeah, we were talking about her a couple days ago, man. Yeah, on the Travel Fools channel, man. It was awesome. Yeah, awesome call, man. Cousin Sam's hooked us up, brother. I was looking at it, man. I'm gonna throw some lacquer on it and restore that bad boy a little bit. I think we're gonna get some awesome power out of it. Well, yeah, you're breaking it all down. Yeah. Well, the ionization is what allows you to help breaking it down because it's making a conductive gas state. And when you get to the conductive gas state, that's where the transformation of molecules begins. They start to break apart and go back together because you're in that gaseous plasma area where transmutation happens. But it also means that it's splitting the molecules apart at that point in time, which means that guess what? Now we have all the energy in the world because the split produces energy. The combination produces energy much more than you would get normally. That's why it's working on that level to create the Townsend effect. Huh. Oh, 80s and 90s pinup girls? Yes. I used to work at a soda company, but you go into the small liquor markets and you go into the back. And every time you did, man, that's what it was. It was all of the calendar things in there from every beer company. If you remember all the beer companies used to be hot chicks and they're all in bikinis. Well, that's what it was. All day long, man. That's all it was. You go in there and in the back room, that's what they had pinned up everywhere. You couldn't avoid it. And they didn't care in those small markets. It wasn't like you go into a big supermarket or something, man. They just didn't give a, you know what? It was their way or the highway. I do remember it, man. They used to sell beer based on that. They don't sell beer based on that anymore, man. It's terrible. I'd bring that back. Heck yeah. Give me a beer commercial, man. We'd be selling it with hot women. That's how you sell beer. That's how you sell a lot of things. They do it in other countries, man. They don't even wear their top and they sell the beer in the commercial. They sell orange juice that way. I mean, for God's sakes, man, we live in a completely isolated society compared to the rest of the world. I'll tell you that. Yeah, way different. Oh man, you got some new videos uploaded? Let's check them out, man. All right. But that just excites it through the whole thing. That's cool. I can't tell if the audio's on or not. Yeah, we'll just mute it. So what do you got going on here? You got the center being attached to everything, and it's exciting gas tubes on the outside at a very low pulse rate. Oh, there's no sound on that one. Here I am pushing the thing on my headset, trying to make it come in. There's no sound on it. Awesome. See what we got going on here. I don't hear any time on that one either. Yeah, that thing's cool, man. I love the way those things break out. Let's see. You missed something there. Think about this molecule structure point of view. If you think about the oxygen in the face of Mickey Mouse, okay, and the two hydrogens are the ears, you now have what you can make them spin, okay, at a faster rate in which they escape and then become free radicals, and free radicals become uh, hydrogen, and you can burst it. Yeah, I agree. Right on, man. That's cool, Dennis, man. 1/32 the speed. He's really got that slow motion going, man. Way better than I got, man. That AC frustrated me last time. Kept blowing out boards. I was not happy with it. So, yep. Has magnets feeding the tubes. Nice. Very cool. Let me see if I have something in here. So I'm looking right now to see where I uploaded my videos at, and I don't see them in here. I must not downloaded them from my drive yet. Oh, maybe.
All right, looking now.
You can see where he's zapping the living daylights out of his house. I can see the smoke.
Oh, that's
See if we can't catch one. I'm gonna have to put this thing. Oh, there's one. You see it right there. It's starting to go to the house. Anyway, we'll play it again. I'll turn it down.
all right, looking now. Oh, that's fucking fine.
Huh. Yeah, thank God the solar panels still work. That's amazing. Oh man, yeah, you should have seen this thing. Okay, so let me see. There you go. There's Courtney right there, man, next to it. Look at the size of that thing. That thing's a monster, bro. Thing was awesome. Oh man, when he got it to tune in, it started just firing off like crazy. And if it was dark outside, I'm sure we would seen like plasma everywhere. Not all, man. I really do appreciate that, man. That is so cool. Let's see if I got another video. Oh no, that's a different video. Never mind. Huh. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I think it was awesome, guys. Totally awesome. Let's see. The Corona donut still freaks you out. Huh. Right on, man. Yeah. Oh man, that was fun. You got that thing out there, man. We started sparking it off, right? And we couldn't see it. It was a little too far away from the house. It was darker by the house, so we moved towards the house a little bit. And then I'm looking up there, going, "Man, what are we hitting?" And then it's this cable line that goes into the house. And I'm going, "Oh man, people inside must hate you when you turn this thing on. It's probably messing with their whole signal, and they're throwing a ton of RF into it, man." That thing was wicked. Yeah, yeah. That cloud though was awesome, man. So yeah, so we saw it like break the air itself and go into a line, and then the voltage was whoop right through it. I'm trying to find when I got the video of it. I wanted to see that point so I could slow it down, just take pictures of it, and I haven't found it yet. So, but I know we had the video of it because we were taking it. I just don't know if it's going to show up. Really cool, man. I can't wait to see that thing at night. That's going to be awesome. Oh, we're verifying this with the potentiometers, fingertips, or what? Now he has a little button on there, man. He dials it in, get the frequency just right, and boom, hits it, starts zapping. Yeah, it wasn't like a. I'll say this. It was coming off. You could see it come off the ball. You see the ball, and at the top of the ball, it would break in a line from it. So it wasn't like it was like creating a ball above it. It was creating lines and where the energy was going to flow. It was structuring the air itself before it went. That's what was cool. It made the ball on top look a little blurry at times. So yeah, yeah, it was a sphere when we did it. I'm gonna have to pull that video. I downloaded them all in my drive. I just haven't pulled them onto a folder yet, so I'll have to do that. Sorry. Hmm. Yeah, that spherical top, man, that was totally different. Thing was awesome. So, all right, man. So, all of my Tesla coils, by the way, are now dry. They're ready to be shot up. So you'll see some shorts coming out in the next couple days. They're all hardened now. So inside and out, man, they're hard. They're ready to go. So we got that one. We got this one here. I'm gonna fire them both up by tomorrow, and I'm gonna put out some short videos of all this stuff, man, so everybody gets to see it. But yeah, we're ready to go, man, on those bipolar coils. They're ready to be started up now. And then I'll just have to make your primaries for them, which isn't very hard. I just take the wall wire and put it around 3 times, and it generally takes care of one of these things. I just have to get the size and put off a quick, 3D print that'll hold it so it stays in the same area, and then just turn it on, man, on the ZVS, and it cranks them right on out. So I'm looking forward to both of those. I've been excited, been waiting for them to dry, and biding my time because they say if you do it before it could mess it up. It's the stuff you don't see on the inside that matters. So that's gonna be awesome. Yeah, he was gonna put nitrous in the in the sphere in the yoga ball. He's gonna put nitrous in the yoga ball, put on top of his coil. Yeah, blow up his whole house. That nitrous does no joke, man. You don't want to put energy next to that. Huh. The testicle coil. Nice. These nuts. Yeah. Oh, that coil's awesome, man. It's supposed to so you always see it in the earth, they always talk about teardrops and stuff, and I should have made them more like a teardrop, but I didn't. I made them kind of rounder. But that's the way it's supposed to go. Not supposed to be like your pair hanging. It's supposed to be like this, right? So that's kind of the thing. So the number one goes right here in the center, and I'll move it up and down and see, which end gets more energy, stuff like that. Oh man, what's going on, man? We were just talking a little bit ago, man, about the channel and stuff. I'm sure the Nightbot's going to drop it again, man. I had a great time on Friday. We had another good time on his channel, man, just the other night. I finally got some of these questions right on that game, man. Yeah, I put my hearing aids in, man. Just made the biggest difference in the world. That was awesome, man. Yeah, we all had a good time. As a matter of fact, right here, one day won. Yeah. He won on the channel, man. And then so did Yanni, man. Both of them won. So that was awesome, man, to see. I like it when everybody gets out there and has a great time, man. Definitely good times, man. Yeah, dispatcher's over there hanging out with us too, man. Checking things out, man. He gave me some cool notes out there and talking to everybody in the chat. So awesome, man. Let's see. I totally agree, guys. But if I've seen for now, what did you expect? The same long time on base to go, I guess I could call it. I don't believe the current technology attitude when it happened. Yeah, current thinking on it, on the way conventional thinking is completely wrong. I agree with you there. They haven't caught up to the correct science yet. No, I don't think they want to. I don't think they want to let us know if they did. Yeah. You're completely late, but what happened to James? I haven't heard from James. He's been talking about the rash on his leg on his channel. We reached out to him for the last week or so, 2 weeks, I believe it is, and he didn't come on the Traveling Fools channel where we can interview him. I think most likely it's because of all the pushback he gets on his channel right now and what's going on. But hopefully that'll change soon, and we'll get some more information. Last thing I heard from him is that he did get a radioactive reading on that device, and he did store it outside of his house somewhere in a different location so that he wouldn't be getting that, and that he had some blisters and stuff on his legs. I don't think that they got anywhere with the language aspect of it, and I do not think they did much else beyond that in anything that I've heard or read as far as James is concerned. So if he comes on this week, man, it'd be awesome to hear a quick update from him and see what's going on. One of the cool things on the Traveling Fools channel, man, that they do is that phone line. When they get that thing cranked up, man, you never know who's coming on, man. You never know what's going to happen. So it's kind of keeps you on your toes, and it's awesome. I truly do like that. I'm not set up to have a phone line where I'm at, guys, but yeah, totally awesome. Yeah, he's doing a plant test now. I think that's what I saw too. Then if you know it's radioactive, I don't know why you're playing with the plant. That's you're going to kill it. So, but yeah, hopefully he stays in good health and can figure out what that thing is. I do try to lean towards the side that it was some kind of clean out or something. And they said most likely it was for, how do I want to say this? Some kind of pumping station and pumping oil or something like that. They run it through the line and they have radioactivity on it so that they can find it and monitor where it exactly goes in those big pipes. So I don't doubt that. and that would be the reason for the radiation. That's what I think is coming out of it, but you never know, man. If this thing jumps up and starts flying all over the place, we'll have to change what we think, right? But no, I think it's a really cool and interesting story, though, for sure. Yeah, he is alive, though. He absolutely is alive, man. So, oh, see, guys, I don't mean this is a slant to anybody but any directional, but you looked at the 3D rendering of the Jewish star and they're taking these opposite directions. You'll find the bubble. Interesting. There is a writing style. It is Jewish, and you'll notice it by they have a little circular dot, a line, it'll go out to U, okay, a squared U, and another circular dot, which matches exactly how the writing's written on that. And it's an ancient Jewish language. Don't quote me on what it is completely, but that's I saw it just recently, and the symbols matched up. So, oh, King Grief Show media, yeah. Oh, we got it all, man. Throughout Atlas and stuff, and all these things that are coming to the solar system. Even they admitted there's more coming. There's more coming. We're in the season for it, so don't be surprised. There's more coming. That story ain't going away. And Abby Loeb, the guy that keeps presenting it, the guy that's astronomer or physicist or whatever he keeps presenting it and keeps telling us there's aliens coming, man. So every time I see the video and I click on it, there's always something new. There's always something that it's doing, or it's eventually going to turn around and come back at us, or something like that, man. Those stories aren't going away anytime soon. We were watching one guy, man. He was tripping out. He started telling you about formations of what looked like an airplane and everything else, and that's all his channel does. Some of the people looking at this stuff, man, are a little bit out there. Okay, I'll just say that. Some of the people are well in line with normal, and then there's some people that absolutely are not. It is fun to watch, though. You get to see all the different perspectives. I love that. Love the Dennis unit of control, but I agree stuff. Anyway, love it. Nice. Let's see. The bubble, the center of it is right between the null zone and the two bugles. If you don't like put a difference in the opinion, please give me comment. Okay. Well, if you know what the translation is, man, just say it, because we'd all love to hear it. So, yeah, I'll be honest with you. I'm there with you, man. I'm right there with you. I love any kind of story that goes into the woo. Okay, if you're going on the woo, I'm going with you. Okay, I'm going to sit there and listen. I won't ever disparage you or anything else, man. We're going right in. You know what I mean? We're going head first. We're going right into it, man. Just flat out, say what it is. I always love those stories. I'm interested, man. You got Mel's Hole. You can tell me about that all day long. I'll laugh my ass off, man. Talk about the thing you can throw your couch into it and it dissolves and everything like that. Totally awesome story, man. Just anything like that. The old school, man, and the new school of it is awesome. So we watched the WF files right now, or the what the fuck files, or Y files, whatever you want to call it. And back in the day, it was all Art Bell, and you got to listen to all the stories, man. You can listen to one of those old stories all day long. You can just throw it on in your car, go on a ride, man, and it'll still be as funny as it was, and cool as it was, and interesting as it was back then, as it is today. Chunkmore Ovaltine, nice. Oh, plot thickens light, yeah, nice. You want to see the woo with planets? They spark yellow plasma with one wire energy. Nice. Really? The woo with plants. Okay, I read it as the planets. That's my fault. The woo with plants, they spark yellow plasma with one wire energy. Would you look at that? That's pretty cool, man. That's cool. You got to get a picture of that, Dennis. You got to get us a video of that. I think everybody's going to want to see that for sure. Yeah. I love it when things do strange things. Nothing's better than that, man. I love it. You hope James comes back because you thought he was pretty cool based on where he was at. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, man. His story's awesome. He didn't seem like a guy looking for fame or fortune either. I don't think you're ever going to see his channel monetized. I think he's going to give you updates, and when that thing's gone, his channel will be gone. Honestly, the feeling I get from the guy every time that we hear from him, that's what I get. Genuine, doesn't know what it is, just wants help on it. Yeah, it seemed pretty cool. What's going on, Aaron? Right on, brother. Scared you at first. It happened, but it's growing great now. Nice. Time travel was another big topic for Art Bell. Oh man, if anybody out there, I'll put this out there. Anybody out there that knows somebody who wants to go live and they want to talk about Bigfoot theory, they want to talk about Bigfoot, and they're totally into it, not just a little bit, but they're totally into it, a great story. Or if you want to go into something like that, like you were saying, time travel, somebody out there who says they traveled through time, something like that, man, I would love to have them as a guest. I know that over on the Travels Full channel, they would love to have them as a guest as well, call-in speaker, on the live show. Absolutely. If anybody knows anybody like that, get in contact with me. I'll leave my email right here. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, anybody out there that would make a great guest like that or something like that. Flat Earth. Somebody that's totally into the flat Earth that won't take no for an answer. You know what I mean? But if you talk to, absolutely. All in, man. You just let me know. So, oh, man. Oh, yeah. I don't do anything based on the politics of it, though. I'll be honest with you. You got to have both sides, man, no matter what you do, no matter which side you're on. Both sides are useful for the pull us forward in this world. So, yeah, I don't get in the middle of it, especially these days. Absolutely worst thing you can get in the middle of. I do like to talk crap on the people that are in those outfits, though. You come around a fuzzy bear outfit and they mace you, dude, I want to see it. I'm sorry. It's like a guilty pleasure, man. The guy on the ground rolling in a bear outfit, dude, I'm just dying laughing. I'm sorry. You got to have a sense of humor in these things, man. They obviously had one when they put on the outfit. So, I mean, you just got to laugh at the absurd. Oh, it's great. There's a great video about Bigfoot and the orange orbs. Nice. Well, we exist in a dipole. Interesting. Yeah, we do exist in a dipole. That's for sure. So it's more like a bipolar Tesla coil, kind of only in the fact that if you move where the primary connects into it, it changes which side's north and south. Think about that. You change into a little bit of structure of the world through an earthquake, and then all of a sudden, man, north and south are changed because the energy itself switched sides. Oh yeah, I don't know, man. That would seem like it would pull the atmosphere off the earth, but who knows? I mean, it may be something we don't even notice. And before we know it, our toilets swirling the wrong way. That's how we're all going to be educated on the subject. Our toilet's going to be swirling the wrong way. Yeah. Yeah. That's a crap spot. It swirled the wrong way. Must have a pole reversal. Can you imagine that? Oh, that's hilarious. I love it. Oh, oh, of course, it's some kind of big bang, but it's got to slow down and stop at some point. Um, I mean, look, you got to have something that comes from nothing. It's got to come out. Okay, it's not a big deal. But the fact that it's coming back and going back out is more important to me than how it got created. There has to be a source of emission for everything. So whether it grew slowly or whatever, I don't care. You know what I mean? I think honestly, man, the shell grew and then everything started to materialize within it. That's my thought. I don't think it blew out like the devil's asshole and just blew shit all over the place, if you know what I'm saying. I don't think that that's what's going on here, man. I don't, not at all. I think, it built a structure and then it filled in the structure here and there. And as it does, the energy goes back and forth. I don't think that, God bent over and blasted one out, if you know what I'm saying. I don't think it's like shit on the wall. It's not the same thing. I think things appeared based on scientific facts and how they build out. But the single blast theory, I'm not so into as well. Yeah. Oh man, I'm certainly hoping you're not abnormal. Oh, Young Frankenstein, man, greatest movie. The guy that was helping him out with the hunchback stuff, the creepy looking dude, he ended up what as a trophy or something on the guy's wall after he gave him the abnormal brain. Ah, nice. Okay, the orbs and the Bigfoot are seen near each other often. Okay, say you saw a Bigfoot, but I did not. But I did see an orb. Okay, nice. Yeah, I remember the orb. You showed it on your channel. That was awesome, by the way. Or original. Oh yeah, man, that was a good movie. That was a good movie. Anything that that actor played in, man, was a good movie. I don't know why his name's slipping my mind right now. Yeah, but he was awesome. So I'll think of his name in a minute. Yeah, he was in a couple of them, man. What up? Well, I keep seeing the guy. He has a spooky hood on and stuff. I keep thinking he's the Hunchback. It's probably not. It's probably one of those things like you think things are said in a movie and they're not. Like every time I see what is it, Dirty Harry or whatever it is, Clint Eastwood, I always think he says punk. He doesn't say punk at all in that phrase when he says "make my day," but I think he says it before that in a different way when they were all in that coffee shop. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things in your brain. Gene Wilder, dude, absolutely amazing work in Blazing Saddles. By the way, my favorite scene in Blazing Saddles was when they went to the toll bridge, the little toll in the middle of the desert. They're riding their horses and they stop for a toll. It's like 10 cents is the toll, right? Fucking hilarious, man. Just reminds me of politics today. You can't drive in the dirt because it's illegal, but they're always going to nail you for a toll on the road. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Sudden impact. You're right. See, that's what I get. I don't remember the name of the movies, and fools got them all. Let's see. I agree with the community. Please show that because I've seen it based on the hydrodynamics in the 90s. I'm not sure. Started listening to Paul Harvey. Okay, I think I'm way lost on that story. Let's see. Remember, in another month we'll be doing predictions at the end of November. Be recording predictions, see what happens, like our build did in 2027. Absolutely, right on, Paul. Absolutely going to do that. Yeah. See what everybody thinks, man. I'll tell you mine right now. We're not. There's gonna be no disclosure people telling us anything. Those people don't know shit. We were watching one the other time, man, on last Friday, and the guy said probably about 50 words and said absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. And he was like big and full of himself, right? Waste of time. Those people, man. They sure do write books and make a lot of money, though. Right on, man. Yeah, we're going to be doing some chicken wings here with Joe and I soon. Doing some chicken wings, and I think everybody wanted to see the big gulp. Not the big gulp, the frosty freeze thing. So one, we go out and burn the living crap out of our mouth. Then we turn around and take this, frosty freeze and gulp it down and freeze our brains out, man. I swear I must love my channel, man. But I'll do it for everybody. Have a little fun. Not a problem. Yeah, I don't think people want to get into an eating contest with me, man. That's not going to favor you too well. I'll tell you the truth, man. I got no teeth. They're all fake. But I just rip them right out, man, and eat that stuff. Ain't no problem for me. Oh, man. I love that kind of stuff, though. Just a fun day. Yeah, I don't drink on the show, though, man. I don't do that. I get kind of crazy when I start putting them back, so I don't do that. What do you got going on here? Mark Hunt folks owned a lot of real cattle estate before Mount St. Helens, and the story told me about the cattle disappearing. Let me go leave one alone for a while. Well, animals do know things that happen before us. It's always interesting. They always know to get the hell out. That's for sure. Man, they just had a story about Mexico floodwaters or something like that were rising and put some of their city underwater. I don't know, man. It's kind of crazy as stuff goes on in this world. They just had that in Texas not that long ago too, where the floodwaters came up. So I guess it's all changing, man. It's all going to change. Greta Thunberg or Thunderberg or whatever the hell her name is. She ain't right though. That girl needs to go back to her parents and get some stuff straightened out. Crazy people out there. People lost their damn mind. Anyway, all right, guys. It's been about 2 hours, man. Hey, I don't know if we're doing Wednesday or not. We might. I don't know if Sean's going to be up and available for it. I do have a lot of work to do, man. So most likely we're going to probably try to do it and see what goes on. And we'll just pick a topic out there. You know what I mean? We'll talk about it like we did today. But I got a lot of coil building to do. All my 3D prints are done. They're ready to be wound down on it. I checked all the measurements on it. All the things work the way that I want them to work. So we're going to be winding. I created a creative way to see it. You'll see the winding from the top down. You'll see in another box the actual winding with the numbers around it on each pin where they go. And then we'll shift that along with the number thing. So you'll see the numbers down below and you can follow along. It's going to be so important to follow all three because if you don't, you're just going to get lost. It is so much of an understanding to know where everything goes at each time because you have one coil being built on top of another coil and on top of once they hit a full set, they rotate one and we do it again, and then we rotate it again. Before we're done, it's like a spiral staircase that goes down in the center like this. And it makes a really cool effect, by the way. And then, yeah, you're going to have to really pay attention to that because there's a lot to it. Once you get used to it, it's not, but when you first start, man, for some people, it'll look just like awesome wall art, man. But that's going to be pretty fun here, man. All right, guys, with that said, I want to tell everybody have yourselves a great night. And Courtney, man, thank you awesome for the this weekend, man. I really do appreciate that, man. I love the test of coil, brother. We'll have to do it again soon. All right, guys, have yourselves a great night.
The old man Bill, man, Bill. The old man Bill, man, Bill. The old man Bill, the old man builds. The old man builds is broken in the head. People not seeing reality has put him in the red. Where conscious and spirituality restricted from the norm and replaced with the ignorance of basic magnetic form. The geometry of God keeps running through his head. That's what makes old man builds broken in the head. The old man builds. The old man builds. Spheres of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. The old man builds. Fears of destiny are spinning in his mind, making him travel back and forth in time, battling the establishment for just a little recognition. Has him forcing the world to understand his premonition. That world will have all the technology in the end, even if it means his life will fail to extend. The old man builds.